You boys be quiet down there!
Welcome back to PC-88 Paradise, the series where we talk about classic Japanese PC games for the NEC PC-88, and also discuss how they're related to other classic games that you may be familiar with. Today we're going to do something a little different on PC-88 Paradise. What we have here isn't a game, but rather an audio CD. This is the soundtrack for a PC-88 game from Enix called Misty Blue, composed by Yuzo Koshiro. I think I'll play it today on the PC-88 CD-ROM drive just for the fun of it. On the second half of the CD, as a bonus we have 14 tracks from Actraiser. But if we play these tracks, they don't sound like the SNES version of Actraiser that we know and love. Basically, the story goes like this. Actraiser was Yuzo Koshiro's first SNES soundtrack, and for practice, as he says, he started by composing the music using the hardware he was most comfortable with at the time, which was none other than the NEC PC-88. He later worked with Enix to replace the FM synth of the PC-88 Soundboard 2 with PCM samples on the SNES to give Actraiser its iconic orchestral sound. Now, to be absolutely clear here, there was never any version of Actraiser planned for release on the PC-88, or any other system other than the SNES for that matter. But while listening to these, we can certainly imagine what perhaps a Sega Genesis version of Actraiser might have sounded like. So without further ado, let's enjoy a few of these tracks along with footage of the SNES game. You'll even notice a few places where the PC-88 Soundboard 2's single 80 PCM channel is used to play samples, which sound the same or very similar to the ones used in the final game. In the game, this is the music that calms the people of Cassandora's hearts, and then later the bloodthirsty quarreling people of Bloodpool. Sometimes I think the real world could really use a song like that.
Let's rock! 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4!
Unfortunately, we don't get PC-88 versions of the entire Actraiser soundtrack here. In fact, only these 4 tracks are actually in Actraiser. The rest are all tracks composed on the PC-88 which were never used. But if you're a fan of Actraiser or Yuzo Koshiro's music, you really should check these out, since a lot of this unused material is not half bad. The last 2 unused tracks don't sound anything like Actraiser. The final track, Space Fight, is really an amazing piece of FM synth in my opinion. Besides this Misty Blue OST released in 1991, the PC-88 Actraiser tracks were also released later on Yuzo Koshiro Best Collection Volume 1 in 2007, and Actraiser Original Soundtrack and Symphonic Suite in 2021. On all of these, we get only the same 14 tracks, so I think it's safe to say these are all the tracks that exist, or were ever produced on the PC-88. It's likely that the remainder of Actraiser's soundtrack never had PC-88 versions. As for Misty Blue, it is an impressive graphical adventure game for the PC-88 by Enix, which of course features an amazing soundtrack by Yuzo Koshiro, so I definitely recommend this entire CD if you're a fan. But regarding the Actraiser tracks, some of you might be skeptical. How do we know for sure that they were really produced using the PC-88's soundboard too? In fact, that Fillmore track sounds more like something from the Japanese Famicom version of Castlevania 3 than it does PC-88. And to that I say, that's kind of a good point, dear viewer. And by the way, you sound suspiciously similar to my inner monologue. Well, guess what? There is a way that we can confirm these were made on the PC-88. In 2018, Yuzo Koshiro released Mucom-88 to the public. This is the actual sound production tool that Koshiro created for himself in the late 80s for composing music on the PC-88. He also released several sample files of his compositions along with the software in 2018, including 4 of the tracks from this prototype Actraiser soundtrack. So now we can even play them on a real PC-88 for ourselves. So there you have it, the Actraiser soundtrack running on a real PC-8801 MC using its internal soundboard too, and to me it sounds just like it does on the Misty Blue CD. So if you liked that, be sure to check out the rest of my PC-88 Paradise series for more interesting videos about this little-known PC series that was popular in Japan in the 80s. Many well-known Japanese console games and series actually originated on the PC-88. The hardware is interesting too. Some of you may have noticed that the CD drive on this system is the same as the one NEC used on the PC Engine and TurboGrafx. My video about the PC-8801 MC system talks all about that. We also have plenty of videos about the Neo Geo and other classic Japanese game systems of the 80s and 90s, so subscribe to the channel and we'll see you back here next time. Until then, this has been Mr. Jakes from Basement Brothers.